All systems nominal. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Signal array locking. Packet sync confirmed. Welcome all. You're connected to the Colo Top Deep Space Signal Relay.
Hello there. Hope you're doing well. Another week's passed. They seem to go pretty quick. I missed, I think, last week doing a stream. There was just too many things happening at home, but here we go. I've been investigating different ways of using my music kit and trying to tie that in with Ableton Live this last week. I got sidetracked by a couple of other things. I'm going to show you how I have wired all this gear up again. But yeah, I got sidetracked a little bit. I had my music collection was all stored on an external hard drive. And when I moved all of my data from my old computer to the new one that I got just around Christmas time, I made a stupid mistake. I deleted the backup of all of my my listening music, the albums that I own, not my sort of edited music, my music I created myself. But yeah, I was absolutely gutted. The one saving grace was that for a good number of years, I used Google Music, which was a free service on which you could put all of your stuff. And then they introduced YouTube Music, which meant that it was all kind of locked behind a paywall unless you deal with adverts. So my plan was to download it all from there. I did that, and then I got stuck in this whole issue of all of the metadata had got stripped, all of the file folders had got stripped. So I ended up going down a massive rabbit hole of how can I rebuild my library of music that I've had for donkey's years. I've got it kind of where it needs to be, but it was one of those librarian kind of things kicking off in my head. It's like, oh, I need to file this all correctly. Anyway, yeah, I got kind of wrapped up in that, but I've done a bit of music. DJ Emo's here. Hello, nice of you to pop in and say hi. Hope you're doing all right. Yeah, as I say, the main thing that I was hoping to do today was not just actually make some music, but perhaps talk through how I've tied all my gear up with the with Ableton and stuff, so I can show you some of that. Obviously, if you've got any questions that you want to run past me, then do that. Or if you're watching this on like a replay later on, leave a message down in the comments, and I'll come back to you if you've got questions or any ideas that you want to explore. So probably the best thing that I can do at this point is pull up Ableton, and then I can talk through what I've been doing. So yeah, here we go. So let me just start this off. Now, as some of you are aware, I've got my favorite bits of kit are the TR8S drum machine and the Novation circuit, and they make fantastic sounds. They really do. I'm really pleased with the way they work. But what I was hoping to do was kind of bring some of those sounds into Ableton and allow myself the chance to record something more elaborate, more professionally mastered and mixed and everything, rather than just doing a live jam all the time. I thought it'd be good to mix it up a bit. I'm going to interrupt myself and find my chat window, which has disappeared. 1 second here. Chat says it's up, but I can't see it. Chat. There we go. Hey PK, you're in here as well. Nice to see you. Yeah, so in addition to recording stuff just as a live jam with straight sort of flat stereo audio coming in, I've started routing things through, as you can see, Ableton here. And we've got, let me see if I can get the, I want to get the kit up on screen as well so you can see that. So 1 second here. I've lost that. I can't see that for the minute. No, never mind. I'll bring it up in a minute. So this Ableton session. Let me stop that. I've got MIDI coming in from the Novation circuit here. And I've split it so that MIDI channel 1 is the first synthesizer on the circuit. MIDI channel 2 is the second on the circuit. So you can see MIDI's coming from circuit and channels 1 and 2. And those channels are taking the MIDI messages into what I've actually discovered late to the game, everybody else has been using. This is the software synthesizer called Vital, and I absolutely love this. This is so powerful. So you've got 3 oscillators, you've got 2 filters, these are all wavetables, there's a bunch of effects and modulation matrix and everything as well. So we're going to have a look at that. So MIDI messages coming in from the circuit are literally just, if you're not familiar with MIDI, as I'm sure a lot of you are, MIDI is literally note messages and control messages. It's like on, off, play this note and so on. Yeah, as you say, Emo, it's on a par with Serum. And that's one of the main reasons I got it. As you can probably see here, I've got Serum. I bought Serum probably about 5-6 years ago when I was doing everything in the box, and it was the kind of purchase that was the logical thing to do. But at the same time, I was also thinking, well, maybe I'll get a drum machine as well. And I got so absorbed with all of the hardware gear that I never really used Serum up to about a couple of weeks ago. Never used it properly, which is a crying shame. The reason why I picked Vital is because I guess a lot more people have it, or a lot more people have access to it. So if I'm going to learn something that will allow me to make patches that I can share with people, or try and troubleshoot things, I'd much rather do it for a package that other people can use for free as well. So that's why I picked Vital. I've sidetracked myself. What was I going to say? Yes, so I've got the circuit feeding into Vital. What I've also done, because I've got a very comfortable setup here on the circuit of how I pre-prepare my sounds, I've also set up MIDI control messages. So I've got my cutoff, filter cutoff, I've got my filter envelope and all this kind of stuff all mapped through. So literally just MIDI messages coming in from the circuit controlling a software synthesizer. And the great thing about this as well is the keyboard on the circuit is a little bit like the Ableton Push, because it's got scale modes as well. Let me see if I can get this thing up on screen. I feel you might. We definitely have shared a page or two in the chapters of Noodler and Frequency Slave Habits. Yeah, Emo, you've got this connection between hardware and software nailed, mate. I can see from your live jams that you've gone that bit further and before me. So that's really cool. Impressive stuff. Right, okay. I'm going to do this now. Get my camera up on screen. I need to grab this camera here. Where are we? Copy that. It's that. So yeah, hopefully now, albeit that my body is in front of the filters and stuff, you should be able to see that if I... No, my body's in front of the filters. Typical. Anyway, yeah, this is all mapped through so that I can control that. So that's the circuit. The drum machine, at the minute, I've literally got all the sounds from the TR-8S just coming in as an audio channel. I did try, and have successfully tried, doing a drum rack as well. So every time the TR-8S sends a note message as well when it plays back a drum, that will also trigger a drum rack. with kick drum and hi-hat. So I literally just started doing that. So if I start off the, let's see, let's enable that. So that's controlling the drum kit to some extent. Hi-hat, same I think. The hi-hat's not working properly at this stage. Anyway, again, same kind of thing. So the drum rack is going to require a lot more messing about with, but at the minute I can get my audio from the TR-8S in. A lot of this is coming together because, as I say, what I'd like to do is record sessions of stuff live into the DAW, but also because I've been quite inspired to look at software synthesizers to build out the quality of sound and maybe do something in the way of ambient music as well. But let's just have a play to start with. I need to get my audio input from the TR-8S. That's not working the way I expected it. Audio coming in. Oh, rats. Technical problems. TR-8S. Sorry about this, guys. Just let me try and suss this out. Using 7 and 8 input. Don't know why that's not working. I'll have to come back to that. Okay. So on the first synthesizer with Vital, this is this bass patch. Do want that a bit bigger. Here we go. So I've got two waveforms here. The first one is like this pulse wave. The second one is this stabbed wavetable. And I can control the amplitude envelope. I can drag the tail of that out. So I can get just a pluck sound. That envelope control really opens it up, and then I've got obviously control over the reverb that I can change the mix level of. And on synth 2, we've got something a bit more ambient. Which is kind of cool. Just these big long reverb tails are beautiful. So that's obviously a very slow tempo. Let's bump it up, because we're looking at perhaps doing some techno. And I will start with a new patch on synth 1. So if this is going to be my what's the word I'm looking for? Like my template, like for the circuit, because this has got all of the macros mapped to Vital in the way that I'm comfortable with to start with. but I can take off these wavetables and try something different. So let's have a look at what the factory settings are, or the factory wavetables are. We've got a handful of them here. So if I pick something like, let's try this quad saw one, and we'll turn off oscillator 2. Yeah. And I've got a delay, compressor, and reverb on there. So I'll just turn those first two off. I'll turn the reverb off as well. So basic bass patch. And we can add another wavetable. Let's pick harmonic series, sounds good. Emo, have you ever tried the external instrument within Ableton? Route the drummer and circuit using it. Each seems there might be a few advantages in the routing and MIDI, although much of a muchness maybe. Yeah, I have tried the external instrument with the Bass Station 2. I can't remember whether I tried it with the circuit, but yeah, it the advantage that it offered, I think, was pulling all of it into one visual channel. So yeah, that's pretty good. For me, because I'm still trying to get to grips with this whole setup, I wanted to take it logically, and in that way, in fact, at one stage I even had all of the MIDI coming in from my external devices into here, and then I was feeding that through to the other channels. That's kind of like an extra step that I just didn't need to do really. As it is, I can just have the software synthesizers on their own channel and have the MIDI come directly into those. So it just depends on what you're comfortable with. So what are we doing? Let's have a look. Oh, there's some other wavetables that this comes with. This is all new to me, so I'm learning. So let's have a look what we got here. Clicky robot. No idea what that sounds like. Now this is all mapped to an LFO, which is why you can see that wavetable is scrolling through. If you've never used Vital before, you can basically drag from something like an LFO. If I click onto LFO 3 here, you've got like a symbol here. You click on that and drag it to whatever dial you want that LFO to modulate. So I've already set one of the LFOs up to control this form scale thing here. So if you can see the green modulation around there, and then this LFO is adjusting the wavetable position. So you can do that manually using this dial or this slider here, but as I say, I've got the LFO running that at the minute. So if I quieten down that oscillator, that's quite nice. So let's come up with a simple bass line. That's terrible. Excuse me. No mic audio. Thank you. I had a cough earlier on, so I muted it. Sorry about that. So I've done a basic bass line on synth 1. Synth 2, I was just trying to say, having two instances of exactly the same software synthesizer and not being able to sort of color code them or something like that is gonna screw me over any minute. I can see it happening. And the other thing is I'm gonna have to face into the fact that I didn't get the drum machine routing through the audio routing through, and I don't know why. That's gonna screw me over in a minute, I think. Okay, so let's see what we can come up with for the second synthesizer. So again, we've got a factory pack of wavetables, and this Glorglunk one, I'll have to investigate some others on another occasion. I can't hear that. Why can I not hear that? Ah, that'll be why. The envelope. Okay, I'll go with more of a pluck sound to start with. And we'll knock the reverb on the head a bit. Okay. So we've got some unison running, and this vocode, let's turn that off. It's a bit more manageable. Okay. Whoa, that's a lot of feedback on that delay. So the sound quality is really nice, I think. That is, it kind of makes me disappointed in the way the time it took for this kind of software to develop. Because I got into making music early 90s, like 95, 94, that kind of time. And you could do stuff with MIDI then on a home PC. And having a sound card which had the capability of loading samples on it that MIDI could then trigger, that was perfectly doable, and that was pretty affordable at the time. There was no way you could get sound quality like this. So if I'd had this when I was in my early teens, I would have been absolutely absorbed and obsessed with it. So at least I've got it now. Right, I'm gonna have to get those drums working now, and that's gonna annoy me. So right, bear with me just a mo. I think I've nailed it. There we go. Right, I need to save that now. I've been messing about trying to use the TR-8S to get the MIDI messages into the Ableton DAW, and in doing so, I turned off something called the internal sound engine. Right. If anybody's interested later on, I'll talk through all of the troubleshooting that I had to do and all of the connection issues that I had, because if somebody had guided me through that earlier today, that would have saved me about 3 hours. Right, okay. Okay. I think I need to bump my audio up in my headphones. Okay, yep, see you in a bit, Emo, if you want to pop back, that'll be good. Okay, we got something running. That's good. Hopefully this doesn't crash Ableton when I turn on my keyboard. No, looks like we're good. Whoa. We did. We crashed something. Let's get another synth into this channel here, which is controlled by the Ultranova keyboard. Oh, sorry about that. That was a bit loud. So I've got an audio effects rack that I've set up. I can pop that into here. No, not that one. Right. Let's do some sound design here. Glorglunk. I don't know where that name comes from. If anybody knows, let me know. Let's see if we can boost that a little bit with some unison. Reduce the detune because that gets crazy very quick. And we'll drop the volume down. And we need a bit of sub from this oscillator. A bit lower. There we go. And we can run that one. Yeah, that one's set up for filter 2. That sounds all right. Change the decay, the timing of the delay. Mm. Okay, it's not a bad pad. Let's see if we can paint in some notes on this. Okay, getting somewhere, and this needs a bit of life adding to it. So I can use one of these LFOs and I drag that to the wavetable. That changes the position. That's running a bit fast perhaps, so let's slow that down. So we reduce the tempo. And I will see if I can bring out some of that top end. So let's use the compressor. Let's do that before the delay. Don't need so much of the low end. That sounds quite nice already. So we've got a nice sub range, which I need to drop down perhaps a bit more. Let's try 36. There we go. What else can we do with this wavetable? I'm not hearing the difference that that's making. Perhaps it's behind all the effects. Might just be the top ends of the frequencies that are getting amended. Okay. And I can make that velocity sensitive here with this dial here, which is thankfully not too far behind. Go. Nice sounds. Okay. that pad's still pushing too much into the mix. Let's turn it down a little. Maybe we can modulate the frequency of the filter cutoff. So let's try that. And I want that to be synced quite slow. Okay, that sounds all right. Quick save. So there's so much control and modulation over this, and I am very new to this synth. I understand the principles behind it, but what a lot of these extra features do, I think this is probably like controlling sort of performance parameters, making the velocity of a note that you hit tie to something else. So maybe using velocity to control the filter opening and closing. This is obviously things like glide between notes. So if I do always glide. That doesn't work the way I thought it would. I need to read the manual. The effects section I'm really impressed with though. That's very cool. One of the people that I've spoken to most since I started my channel up is a chap called Barry, and Barry got the TR-8S drum machine, and he's got a couple of TB3 clones, and he's making some really cool stuff with those. But how to tie all the gear together was pretty new to him, and I was really pleased that some of the stuff that I explained to him has really helped him. You'll have to check out his channel. I'll leave a link in the notes because Barry's doing some really good stuff. But to start with, he was asking how do I sort of take the next step? What kind of stuff do I need to get more out of the drum machine and the TB3s? And my suggestion to anybody who's just starting out with producing music, the first question you have to ask yourself is, do you have a computer already? And if you do, to me, it's a no-brainer what you need to do next, and that is to buy a MIDI keyboard of some kind, perhaps even the smallest that you can get, and to make sure that comes with a DAW. And in that way, you can get access to everything that you can possibly need. Something like the Novation mini keyboards. They come with a free version of Ableton Live, which is a very cut down one, but it does everything that you can possibly need, really. And then that way you can tie your hardware into the computer, or you can just work within software synthesizers. And in hindsight, I wish I'd recommended this particular software synth to Barry, but I suggested a couple of others because I haven't used software synth for a long time. These have come on so far since like the last 2 or 3 years, when I was working in the box all the time. Yeah, pretty powerful stuff. I need to develop that second synthesizer with a little bit more of a melody. Gonna have to bear with me a minute here while I just program buttons for a bit. I'm gonna let me explain what I'm doing. If I duplicate that pattern down to there, that is one that I tend to use as like a holding pattern for a tune, and then the main melody I can do like a 4-bar pattern. So if I pick that like holding pattern, that's quite short. That's using only the first 7 pads, so that gives you like a polyrhythmic kind of thing. So it's staggered and offbeat with the 4/4 pattern of the kick drum. And then if I go to the first of these and then unlock that so that instead of being 7 beats long, I'll make it the full 16. And we'll see what we can do with that. We're getting somewhere. Last pattern. Okay, let's see what we've got with when we combine those. Might do. So if we play all of that back. Okay, and I didn't map the reverb of that synth 2 yet, so let's do that. So if I pick Vital, so this is my lead synth, and if I turn on my effects, so reverb is not on, there it is, and I want the mix control to be one of my macros here, so I turn on this configure, I move that time control so that unlocks. Again, I'm in front of the screen. Let me move myself. There we go. In fact, I'll put myself there for the moment. So if I've got this reverb control linked to nothing yet, and then I pick map, pick the reverb that I've unlocked there, and then click on that macro dial there, and then MIDI map that dial to that dial on the circuit. Therefore, I've got control over the reverb amount. Not bad, not bad. Save. Goodness sake, save. Right. I suppose I could start editing some of the drum sounds. No, we'll stick with what we've got for the minute. And I've not tried this yet. Let's see if I can do something as a live recording of audio. So I've got I don't want the drum rack open. This is the channel that the drum machine audio is coming in on. So we can prime that for recording. TB3 is not used. That's my MIDI channel for the pad sounds. And that one's not used. This is synth 1, synth 2 from the circuit and the patches that we've just created. And this is just a bus that's got just a straightforward compressor on there. So both synths are going into that. I don't think it's even touching the compressor yet though, so that's set up for the future should I need it. So I need to bring my little pad sound into here on that channel. Okay. Let's have a jam, see what we can do with that. Probably would help if I'd set it up for recording properly before I do that. Okay, so I want to record there. Hopefully my computer can handle all this. This is, as I say, this is all kind of new to me as a workflow. So probably made a few mistakes. Not sure whether I should be best recording actual audio rather than MIDI from the synthesizers, but we'll see what we got. Be interesting to see how well the parameter changes are recorded. Looks like they're doing okay. Yep. Yeah, that could work pretty well. Well, those reverb tails are mental. So let's hit save on that. I think rather than push that any further right now, because I'm not, as I say, not fully comfortable with the workflow and everything on what I would do with that next, I think I'm going to just focus on making some patches, some sound patches, and I'll try and put those together in a bank that I can then use for later on. And if there's anything that I do make in this session or later on that anybody's interested in, I can always upload those. I've actually set up a Buy Me a Coffee webpage, which, as well as accepting donations, which is something that somebody actually asked me to do, and I was really pleased that the material that I've been producing has been interesting for them. As well as donations, I can also use it to just distribute files. So if I set up a pack that has got sound patches or patterns for drum machines and stuff like that, I can distribute those that way. So that'd be kind of fun. So let's go back here and let's see if we can make some sounds. So I'll get my Vital synth back up. And let me save that one, which was reasonably nice pad. So we'll call that Deep Space Pad, because I'm not particularly creatively into naming yet. Okay, so that is a pad. Live stream session. 18th of the 2nd, 23. Save. Done. That's the first one. So we're going to go and reinitialize. I think that one. Initialize preset. Here we go. Great. Let's have a look at a few more of these wavetables. I've not tried this Glorglunk one until today, so. That's quite vocal, that one. Let's go down an octave. Some great sounds in here. I think probably that one we can use to start with. We'll drop that down an octave. And fatten it up a bit. With the unison. That gets so crazy when you take that up to like 100. That's a little pretty discordant. And I don't know what all these wave folders and spectral filters do, but incredibly impactful on the sound. Okay. go with a pad again. Okay. What do we want? Let's put a sub with that. So we'll go down 24. And should be able to... okay. I know what we can do. I'll have a mess with the wavetable editor. Again, this is not something I'm fully conversant with. However, I do understand the principles. So this is your wavetable on the first frame. So you've got like a number of different snapshots across. You've got a waveform, and then imagine slices, and as you move from one slice to another, you can have a different waveform, and the synthesizer will merge one wave into another across a number of frames. So if we start off with a words escape me. Start off with this sawtooth wave on frame 1, and then we go to this frame here by just double clicking. Then we can create a different waveform with these. Now these elements here are harmonics or partials, and the lower down the harmonic list you go, or the lower down the harmonic scale, the closer you are to the fundamental of the waveform. So that has a bigger change on the waveform. As soon as you start messing with stuff up here, you're adding tiny little extra ripples to the waveform. So that's what's going on there. And then under here, this I'm less sure of, but this is changing the phase of the wave. And phase is how far forward or backwards in time you're pushing the wave. So you can see it alters the shape through that as well. Oh, Ollie, thank you so much for telling me. Okay, let's get my monitor. There we are. Thank you, Ollie. Hopefully I wasn't going to do that for too long. Okay, so let me just recap. So this is the wavetable editor. On the first frame of the wavetable, I've got just a standard sawtooth. On here, by just double clicking, you can add another snapshot of the wave, and then by messing with these are the harmonics and partials. So this is like, if you've got a note ringing from, let's say, a bell, not only do you get the note that your brain says, that's playing a G or an F or whatever, you've also got other higher frequencies that are multiples of that core frequency, and those are called harmonics. And harmonics are spaced very specifically in a mathematical sense. Hey Mo, welcome back. If you look at harmonics, they're spaced very specifically in a mathematical ratio to the fundamental, which is like your core frequency, like your F or your G. And then you've got other things that are like partway between harmonics, and those are called partials. And as you add these things here, what you're doing is you're adding harmonics to this frequency here. If I get rid of all of these ones to the right of clear to the right, if I get rid of all of these to the right of that first one, you've basically just got a sine wave. So the fundamental of this waveform is a sine wave, and then if I add a harmonic on every other, you'll see it gets closer and closer to a sawtooth wave the more of these I add on every other if I do every harmonic, it should form a sawtooth. But I've screwed, forget that, I've screwed with all those. There we go. So sawtooth. And if you do every other harmonic, you should get a square wave if I do this right. Yeah, you can see that's edging towards a square wave. I did a video about that a little while back. Hey Barry, I name checked you earlier on, mate. I was telling people about the move that I'm making today in this with including software and hardware in the same kind of setup, like this hybrid kind of thing. And I was explaining about the use of software synthesizers. And this one that I'm using here is called Vital. I'll just recap really quickly for Barry and anybody else who's just joined us. I wish I'd recommended this software synthesizer when we first started talking about software synths. This one's called Vital. There's another one called Surge, and they're both really high quality. They do way too much for somebody who's just learning right from the beginning. But I suppose if you're going to learn something, you might as well learn something really powerful. Anyway, I'm creating wavetables. So the first, can I reinitialize that? Thank you, Barry. You're welcome. So I've sidetracked myself completely here by messing with this. Let's go back to this first wave table here. We've got sawtooth. Next one, we can make something different. And we'll clear that. So we've got something funny there. And then we'll go to this one. And we'll change the phase of that. Let's do 4 on here. There's probably a more organized way of doing this, but as I say, I'm still learning Vital. So we've got, oh, I'm an idiot. I've double clicked and deleted it. There we go. So I've changed the wavetables across time there. And you can see in the background what the previous frame was. So sawtooth, something wiggly, something else wiggly. Let's do another final one. And we'll do a bump there. Cycles and snapshots. Yep, that's it. Okay, so we've got 4 snapshots across the wavetable. And then if we close that, and then this one here, this control here scrolls through that wavetable, and the computer maps the difference between one waveform and the other in that table, and that's called interpolation. So that's like finding the route from one waveform to the other. So let's see what kind of sound we made. Kind of vocal sound. Let's bump that up a bit. Reminds me of my hair clippers. That's really bassy at the beginning and then quite high. I don't have pigments, Emo. That's not one that I've used before. I think that's a contact library, isn't it? Or a contact synth from Native Instruments. Right, let's add some effects. Those two work quite well because that one's quite wide with the unison and that one's straight down the middle of the stereo field. And maybe some chorus. Ooh, yeah, I like that. Yes, Barry, like kind of a proper drone. Sort of reminds me of maybe Jean-Michel Jarre Rendezvous kind of stuff, perhaps a little bit. I'm holding back on throwing reverb on it. Oh, from Arturia, not from Native Instruments. If anyone has pigments for... Oh, cool. Blade Runner. Oh. I don't know the Blade Runner theme to play it, but yes, I do know what you mean. So we've got 2 wavetables and a little bit of chorus. What else can we do? Let's animate the waveform slightly. So if I take LFO1, you find a rhythm you like, you can wavetable it to the bass, and it's pretty class. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, from what I gather, you can take an audio snippet straight in your DAW and drop that in as a wavetable. I'm tempted to try that now. So if I don't want to monitor, I want to record. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Okay. Can I drop that in as a wavetable? Yes. Did that work? No. Let's do wavetable. There we go. Is the volume too low? Yes, the volume was too low. Let's crop it. This is an experiment. As I say, I got Vital yesterday. So crop sample. Should probably bring that in a little bit more. Let's take something like that. Crop, crop, crop. If you're open for a Zoom chat tomorrow, I'd love some help with the TR8S. If you're busy, it's perfectly fine too. Hope you're doing well, my friend. I've been up to my googles. Yeah, I'll see if I can get some time for that, Barry. I'll message you, let you know how things are going. I'd be quite happy to help. Whatever kind of stuff you're after. Equally, if you want to ask questions now, I'm in the zone to do that. So I want to go back to Vital. Oh, I'm all over the show now. Oh, the screen was there. Can we do this as a wavetable? Yes, we can. So I want to. That seems very fast. I guess it's a short snapshot, so let's take it down a couple of octaves. Okay, so let's use my voice as a wavetable. I've never sounded so good. Try a hi-hat loop. Right. Hey, Andreas. Barry's using Output Arcade. Pretty fun for samples and loops. It's a paid application, but great crack. Okay, cool. Not heard of that one. I kind of want to turn this into something more of a sound. So I'm thinking of trying to make this like an atmospheric sound. So probably using that third wavetable as something modulated a bit higher up the scale is probably going to work better. So let's put that pitch back up. And let's use something like an LFO. Yeah. Now this is where I really need to learn the synth. So we can do import LFO. Have we got any samples? No, we haven't got any LFOs. Triangle. Ah, here we go. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. We've got some growing oscillations. That could be fun. Let's drag that to pitch. And we'll slow that down a bit. Mod the filter with it. Yeah, can do that. So let's Do I want to use that same LFO for the filter? Let's try a different one. And we'll do something like, have they got sample and hold? Nervous groove. No, that looks pretty nervous. Let's do that for the filter cutoff, which is that bottom one, I think. There we go. And what's going through filter 1? Filter to the wavetable. Hey console / Ollie, thanks for popping by. No, nice of you to pop in. I need to put something through the filter because the only thing going through filter 1 is that first patch, first synth. LD Lens, hey, nice to see you. Welcome. Take care, Ollie. See you later. So let's put both of those through, or all three of those through filter 1. There we go. That's kind of good. I think we need maybe some compression. And I'm just going to put that through as a chord. Why am I not seeing the MIDI? That's on. I don't know why I'm not seeing those MIDI notes on the left. I should be. Let's do that. There we go. Just an experiment. Test, 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 test. I'd forgotten about that. That's that sample there. Let's get rid of that. I confess I didn't even figure out what chord I was playing when I was just auditioning that, and that seems to have fitted in with the key that I was using. Streamer luck. That's quite nice. Andreas, is Ableton running on a Mac or Windows in your setup? I'm PC, so Windows. I've used Macs before in the past, not for music, but I've always been a PC person. Just I'm used to the interface. That's the main reason. And Barry, Circuit, would you recommend? Yeah. Definitely. I did say to you before, Barry, that the first thing I would recommend for you was the like the launch key, and that gave you Ableton Live. If you're still in the market to buy your next piece of gear, I think you could do far worse than picking the circuit. The sound engine's really capable. The hardware is really nicely built. And I'm not sponsored, by the way, or anything like that. I'm just saying what I think. The other thing that is just cropping up in my mind as to why the circuit is really good is what I'm doing here today. And that is the fact that I'm not making any sounds with it. I'm just using it as a MIDI controller. And not only do you have all of these, what are they called? Rotary controllers. They're endless encoders, which means that you don't start at 0 and end at 11 or 10 or whatever, and that's as far as you can go. You just keep turning the dial. And because it's all software connected, the software understands when it hits the top end of a scale for something. And if you jump back in from one menu to another, it doesn't matter what position the encoders are in. So endless encoders for a MIDI controller are fabulous. So the circuit has got 8 of them here. And because if you jump from page to page, that's changing MIDI channel as well. That then means that you can use these encoders for controlling different things. So if I hit synth 1, that will send MIDI messages on channel 1, MIDI channel 1, and I can control the parameters of one synth with the same dial as it when I move to synth 2, I can control another synth with that that dial. So that's one big thing. The fact that you've got your endless encoders and your MIDI control. You've got a really nice sequencer that you can use to sequence external hardware. And in addition, and this is a killer feature, if you go to this button here, scales, you can pick just about any kind of scale that you can think of. So you could pick D major, you could pick some kind of, and this is where my music theory falls down, but you've got things like Dorian scales and Lydian and mixer Lydian, all this kind of stuff. So if I'll give you an example. If I put this in scaleless mode, I'll do it on a different session because I'll screw up what I've done otherwise. If I go to scale here, and I need to be able to hear what I'm playing. Let's do it on that synth. No, probably the first one's better. Okay, so let me play a scale on here. So without having any music theory knowledge, I can make sure that every note I hit is within a proper scale. And then I can change scales by going to one of these other buttons here. So that's a different scale again. So yeah, long story short, yeah, I think the circuit is great because it's so versatile. It's great in its own right, but you can use it with other things really well. I used it to start with for the first couple of years that I had it, just as a sequencer for external synths. I had one channel going to the Bass Station 2 and the other channel going to the Novation K Station. And the sequencer on it is just really handy and quick to use. So there we go. What have I missed in chat? Got so sidetracked talking, I wasn't reading. Andreas, go to Ableton MIDI and sync outputs only and check the pulse per minute if your gear. Sometimes that needs to be selected. Andreas. Right, okay, Andreas, you've got MIDI sync problems. Let me see if I can give you a suggestion. There was a video that I made on exactly that. So that could cover some of the stuff that you're after, but I'll give you a quick intro to what we're looking at. So if you go to Options and Preferences, excuse me, the first thing that caught me out is that the MIDI synchronization isn't just controlled by your MIDI parameters. It's also controlled by your audio sample rate and that kind of stuff. And that's really non-intuitive. But basically, in order for Ableton to keep audio and MIDI synchronized, it seems to default to its audio rate and its audio settings. So if your audio settings are introducing a lot of latency, your MIDI will be thrown out by that as well. So you need to go to hardware setup for whatever your audio interface is. And for some reason, yeah, there we go. So this is the audio interface control for my desk. And then you go to your buffer settings. And if you've got too much latency, you need to reduce your buffer settings. So I'm on 124 samples. I could try and drop in that down to 512 or 256. What will happen there is your computer will use more resources, but it will more quickly keep checking for what's going on with the audio inputs. And when the audio inputs get better in terms of the latency that is improved, then your MIDI might start matching up with what you need as well. And then if you've still got problems, the other step is to go to MIDI sync and then look at the device that you're sending MIDI to, and then start playing with this clock sync delay and reducing that. And what you'll find is that you should be able to bring stuff closer to the tempo. So hopefully that'll help. I'll put a link to that video that I made in the description of this live stream as well. Yes, selecting sample rate, that's the thing. It's funny, it's completely unintuitive. If your MIDI's screwed up, why would you mess with your audio settings? But as I say, what's happening is Ableton is taking its time to go and check for what audio's there, bringing a big load of audio back, and then once it's finished doing that, it then goes, oh right, I've got to send some MIDI clock. So if you tell it to check for audio more quickly, it checks MIDI clock more quickly as well. Waffling. Let's move on. Save. And I think I'm going to do one more patch and then I'm going to call it a night because time's ticking and I've got other stuff happening too. So let's do one more patch. That one's quite nice. Let me save that. So we'll do... I'll just call that Rumble Pad, which is a funny name, but there we go. Pad, save. Let's do one more. And I'll try and do a pluck sound. Initialize preset. Yep, so we're going for a pluck sound, and if I pick a different wavetable, factory harmonic. Excuse me. I'm going to have to scroll through that wavetable with something like an LFO, I think. So let's pop that onto there. And speed that up a bit. That's kind of fun. That's almost like a filter over the top of it without using a filter. And then let's pop. Now we've got some interesting filter types as well that aren't available on things like the circuit. So if I do something like the comb filter, why is that not showing me what I thought it should? Ah, there we go. That's what I was looking for. I'm going to bring that down a bit, and I'm going to put this through. It's kind of fun. Let's try a different type. No, I prefer the previous one. Spread. Gives like a metallic thing. And we'll go down an octave, I think. 12. And let's see if I can create like a little arpeggio type thing. I should be running this through the circuit really, because that's got a sequencer that I'm familiar with and can run fast. But let's stick with this for the minute. And we'll shorten that. No. Needs work. Okay, and maybe a couple of effects, and we'll see what we get with that. Distortion, let's try that. Pop a flanger after. Okay. Okay, that's pretty horrible. Maybe we pop a filter in there first. That could be pretty dark. Right. Maybe. EQ you have with the notches and high end cut. Talk to me. Yeah. Yeah, let's try that. EQ. Oh, okay. You mean on the channel strip emo, the EQ that I've got. I just threw a couple together and saved it as a preset. I shouldn't be using the same thing on every channel, really. Again, as I say, I'm just getting myself set up with Ableton in the way I want to work. So I've got a bunch of presets that I need to develop and make sure that I optimize stuff. That's this here is just taking out some harsh frequencies. What is the EQ molding? I think probably then you mean on here. Oh, this at the minute nothing. So that turns it on and off, and that just keeps it in place but deactivates it. in thinking about it, probably taking off some of that bottom end's a good idea. Is that the drop master? Okay. That could do if I had a lot more decent elements made. But I think I ought to call it a day today. I've covered a few things. Hopefully some of it's been helpful. Obviously starting off with an empty Ableton session and trying to build from there is quite a challenge, particularly when this is the first time I've used those synths as well to any great level. But yeah, let's grow from there on the next one. If you've got any questions, pop comments in the comment section, or you can reach me on Instagram, and I will catch up with you soon. We'll do probably do another video tomorrow if I get time, but until then I will see you all very soon. Thanks very much. Take care.